Hey there, Sheryl here, mental toughness coach, best-selling author, speaker, and CEO and founder of the Zone Lab. And I have a question for you. I'm wondering if you felt like you've ever not been heard as much as you would have liked. And I wanted to share a story. It was quite a few years ago, but I remember one birthday quite a long time ago, but my birthday was not recognized at all. I got nothing. No card, no, absolutely nothing. And so I felt like no one really cared or appreciated all the things that I was doing, and it really affected me. And so I struggled with saying anything, but I decided to because it's very important. And today we're going to talk about the importance of speaking up, but also maybe some of the reasons why you're not speaking up, because sometimes we worry about, maybe there's a couple different things that we'll talk about that we worry about that might be keeping us from speaking up and being heard, and we're going to talk about those today. But first, it's important for you to understand that being acknowledged and validated is a human drive. So whether it comes to a birthday or an idea or some work that you're putting in your career, or maybe you are putting some effort into a friendship or with your partner, with your kids, it's very important to speak up and be heard, because we must be acknowledged and validated. And if we aren't, you might think, well, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal, because what happens is if we're not deepening those connections, our collaboration is suffering, so is our innovation. It's not only suffering, it can really come to a complete standstill, and we don't want that to happen in our personal or professional life. So there's 3 reasons why maybe you're not speaking up and being heard. And the first one is process pain. That has to be, if I have this conversation, then maybe the process of having the conversation will just be too difficult. Or if I speak up, it's going to be really difficult and uncomfortable. Totally understandable, but I don't want it to stand in your way from speaking up and being heard. The second one is outcome pain. Let's say I speak up. So let's say I mention that I want to be acknowledged on my birthday, or I talk about a new idea or innovation or collaboration idea that I have, and let's say the outcome isn't quite what I expected. So again, totally understandable, but we don't want it to get in the way of you being heard. And then finally, I was going to say my favorite, actually my least favorite, is fear of failure. Now, fear of failure is something that world-class performers have as well, but the difference is with all 3 of these, they might have these, but they know how to move forward anyway, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Fear of failure is something that really stayed with me for a really long time, and that is, what if I put in all this effort, put in all the time, and work up and get courageous enough to do this, but then I fail? So in other words, what if I speak up in a boardroom or speak up in a meeting and it's a total fail, or it gets shot down or rejected? Or what happens if I have that conversation with my family? Or what happens if I start that business or ask for that raise or what have you, and it's a failure? So again, totally understandable. World-class performers deal with these 3 issues as well, but the difference is they know how to move past them anyways. So what I'm wondering is, are any of these holding you back? Either process pain, it's too difficult, outcome pain, or maybe fear of failure. So I want you to think about that for a second. Think if any of those are holding you back. And if any of them are, I want you to think about it this way. If they're holding you back, I want you to think about what it is that you fear and why you're not speaking up, and be at peace with it. So in other words, acknowledge it and validate it. So this is acknowledging and validating with yourself. So in other words, I have a fear of failure. I have a fear that maybe if I pitch this idea, it won't work out. Or if I have this conversation with a family member, it might not go well, or whatever. But you might think, and that's okay. And think about it this way. If this pain, either the process pain, outcome pain, or fear of failure, if it were to whisper in your ear and say, I know this is happening and it's okay, but if you don't want it to happen, you should really do this. Because the whole idea is that we know how to be more courageous. We know how to meet these different types of obstacles and pains so we can emerge and speak up and be our best selves. So if you can do that, make peace with it, and then invite it to come closer and learn from it, and then get very intentional about doing that thing, then you can be on your way to speaking up, being heard, and being your absolute best. So I hope that makes sense to you. I hope it resonates with you. I hope you're really going to think about what is one area where maybe you've known in your heart or in your gut that you should be speaking up, but maybe you're not doing it. And think about and become more aware of why. Think about then what you can learn from it and how you can push through so you can continue on being world-class person that you are and speaking up, being heard, collaborating, innovating, and being your absolute best. So I want to make this content real for you. So if this is resonating with you and you want some help and some accountability and some more tools, I really want to invite you to apply for my Mental Toughness Mastery subscription. It's starting up again. The next month is on March 5th. So I really want to invite you to go ahead, apply to join. There's a link in this email below, and we would love to review that. We'll review the application within 24 hours, and we will let you know one way or the other. It's one way that you can be accountable to a group of similar thinking people, and so I can support you and be in there live. I'll be in there live for 1 hour once a month. We'll have challenges every month, and you will be in an environment and get the tools